Welcome to the first episode of PatriotListTV. I'm Colin Supko, the CEO and founder of PatriotList, and I'm excited to bring you some amazing veterans and give you some insights into some of the things that they're doing in service to our great nation post their time in the military. So today we have Mr. Mike Alimo, who is a prior Marine and an amazing entrepreneur, and we're going to have a little discussion about his transition and the things that he's done since. So Mike, can you tell us a little about what you have going on?
Yeah, thanks, Colin. I just want to say thanks for the opportunity to be featured on your show here, The Pilot. This is awesome. You guys have a great setup. Super excited about it. I love what you guys are doing with your company, your mission. I think it's really inspiring for others, and especially from one entrepreneur to another, coming from military life, where it's very structured and entrepreneurship's very out in the wild per se. I think it's awesome to share stories and memories and things what you're doing for the future moving forward, and share those because it's very insightful and I think motivating for not only myself but other veterans looking to do the same thing and make a name for themselves, put themselves on their own.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike. For me, and in the wider news, you see a lot of focus on some of the negative aspects as a veteran. You see a lot of focus on PTSD, a lot of focus on the folks that have been injured overseas, and those things are super important, and we should all keep those people in our prayers. However, I also think it's absolutely imperative to show the world some of the amazing things that our veteran class is doing for our nation and for the world. I think we need to spend a little time focused on the positives, and that's what we're here to do with PatriotList TV. So just as we're starting out, can you give the audience a little understanding of what your background was as a Marine and some of the things that you had the opportunity to do, and then we'll go into what you learned from your time in the Corps.
Yeah, some of the things that I think I took from my time as, not just as a radio technician, but just as a Marine in general, was it doesn't always have to be, positive things. And I think many people understand that. And I'm an advocate for, if you learn what not to do, it's the same thing as learning what to do. And I learned both. I learned what to do. I learned, how to handle myself as a professional. Moving from being an 18-year-old boy going into the military, you grow up very quickly because it's your first time on your own for most people.
Absolutely.
First time away from home.
I had a similar experience. At 18, I showed up at the Naval Academy, and you go from a fish in a very small pond to a fish in a much bigger pond, where people are really smart, really talented. And you got to see where you fit in. Mm-hmm. And I think I really enjoyed what you said about you can learn just as much by watching people lead in a poor way as you can from watching people lead in a positive way.
Right, and you learn that in an early instance because in the military, you pick up the 4th rank as an enlisted person, and you're already a small unit leader, where you're in there actually leading people, and it's more prevalent for people who are in the infantry aspect of it because they have a lot more responsibility. And so I think that that's like what you just said it's interesting because when you look at the people who led poorly, you kind of remember that emotional connection of, this isn't how I would like to be treated. I mean, in the military you have no choice, but you understand that when this is all done, because at the end of the day you have to get out of the military, right? Whether you do, we used to always say, when you do 4 or 40, doesn't matter, at some point you're going to have to get out, and you're going to take with you the only things that you've learned. You don't get to take the uniform with you, and I think that it's very important, especially at a young age, at 18, to be introduced to that stuff.
So what was the biggest rude awakening for you as a young Marine?
The first day I showed up to recruit training, I remember sitting in this room at Paris Island where there was just a bunch of steel desks lined up, and I remember the drill instructors running around, and I just remember thinking to myself, damn, I have to live with these guys for 3 months, And it was just it was interesting because at first you're afraid of them, and then 3 months down the road, which in the grand scheme of things is not that long, you highly respect them, and you look at them as your brother in arms. So it was interesting. I think that was my rude awakening, was realizing I have to live by this guy's rules and his roof for the next 3 months.
So Mike, as you know, we have developed a Patriot List oath, and this oath is the pearls of wisdom that we promise to adhere to, and we ask that all of our users adhere to as well. Can you give me some pearls of wisdom that you took from your time in the Corps?
Sure, yeah. I think that given the opportunity to be indulged with so many different cultural backgrounds of people coming from different states, different experiences, and it really opens your eyes to the diversity. I grew up in a town of 7,000 people. So, I was born in New York, but I did all my growing up in a small town, and I think you may feel the same way coming from Lake Tahoe, is that you're kind of sheltered in the sense of you know who everybody is, and when you join the military, you're exposed to this great diversity of people, and it teaches you a lot of how to treat individuals. It also teaches you, some of the bad things, some of the biases that people may hold. And it's interesting because it opens your eyes, and I believe in global education definitely. I traveled to Thailand about 6 months ago, and it really teaches you when you step outside of the physical boundaries of the states, that safety net that we have, that we don't really understand, that we can appreciate every day.
I agree.
Is that you learn a lot about humans, and it's not just about Americans, but I think that overall point is, when you join the military, you gain that experience, that global education of being able to appreciate, human cultures. I did like that a lot.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I've learned so much from my time in the military. And I think something I find really interesting is that the military is one of the only aspects of society where selflessness is the key tenet to exist within the military structure itself. Is that it's never about the individual, it's always about what the individual can give to the whole, the unit as a whole, or to the nation.
Right.
And so I think that kind of purpose is an amazing thing that it's hard to find elsewhere in society.
It also takes over in the civilian life, though, if you think about it, because a selfless leader is one that is doing a good job.
Exactly.
Right.
I think I couldn't agree more. I think that's why some of our most impressive government leaders, some of our most impressive leaders in industry had a military background. They learned something that carved and etched a important piece of their personality on what it meant to serve others. Servant leadership, and call it what you will, but it's one of the founding tenets of Patriot List. It's why I wanted to start it. I wanted to start it to help a group of people that raised their hand and promised to serve and defend the people of this nation, and give them a place that was safe and secure to do something that we all do, and that's buy and sell and trade online.
Yeah, agreed. And I find that it's funny when you mention that. I'm thinking of my own ventures as starting a marketing agency. It's funny that when you exit the service, you want to step back. You want something to you want a little bit of change. Maybe you want a little bit more freedom. But I find myself serving others the day I got out, going on. And it's interesting that you say that. It kind of takes people back. I think you have to kind of cut a layer back and look at the reality of, maybe this is what I was meant to do, is to serve others. And so I appreciate that you're doing that directly by helping the military community.
All right, Mike, as you know, Patriot List is the safest and most secure marketplace for our military veterans, their family, and all federal employees. But we're also trying to build a movement here, a movement based on entrepreneurship and personal responsibility to oneself and one's community. Don't you feel that veterans as a whole tend to be more successful upon exiting the military if they have a clear understanding of what's going to derive purpose in their life once they get out?
Absolutely. I think it's kind to note that in recent years, I'd say in the last 5 years or so, there's been a spike of eyeballs on people that have something useful to say. I mean, things that are going to make a difference and impact in the community, between podcasts. I mean, you're doing it here with Patriot List TV, and I think that it's kind of note that those individuals are really helping develop the veteran community in their future. And I, I'm trying to tap into that myself, and creating a vlog series myself of talking about what it takes to be successful. I'm not a genius. I'm not an extremely intelligent man. I just appreciate the documenting process of what I'm doing, and then in a sense look back on it myself. It's actually useful for myself as well. It's not me just saying to somebody, hey, you have to work hard. You have to network. These are different things that a veteran doesn't get exposed to, and I think that, like you said, if they get the information, they have the drive to accomplish things. Like yourself going through SEAL training, you obviously have the ambition and the toughness to make it to the end of training. So starting a business should be no different. It takes the same intangibles that it would to go through that training. And if you get the right direction and that guidance, I think that the accomplishments are endless. And for people to understand that concept and really live that, I think that's the important piece.
Yeah, I agree. I think if people realize that all life is just a series of choices, and pattern of success starts the first time you set a goal and accomplish it. Learning starts the first time you set a goal and don't accomplish it, and then go back and achieve that goal later on in life. And these are the things that set apart successful people from not successful people.
Right.
And so for me, one of the reasons that we wanted to do Patriot List TV is because we wanted other vets to say, hey, I could do that. Hey, I made it through Paris Island boot camp. I made it through Army Basic. I can definitely go out there and do something as long as I belong to a team that has values and a culture that I believe in.
Right.
And I think that's where vets get in trouble sometimes, when they start looking at dollar signs only, and they don't realize how the importance that it was to have a culture and a team that believed in each other more than believed in hard cash dollars.
Right. It's very true. Yeah. When you're in the military, you have that consistent flow of income. You don't have to worry about losing your job. You have benefits. You have medical. Your family's taken care of. You have food. Whatever it is, you have everything taken care of. And when you exit the service, none of that stuff is guaranteed. You're back. You're back in the wild, like I had said earlier. And it's important. I think it's a really great thing that these veteran groups are kind of taking ownership of that group and belonging to it still after they get out. And it's really helping, I think, make a difference with the ease of access to information.
Yeah, do you think, there's so many veterans groups out there. There's the old school ones that our parents and our grandparents belong to, and now there's some new ones that are mostly online, and hoping to do some lobbying for, on behalf of veterans and the military in Congress. What do you think is, what's a veteran to do? How's a veteran supposed to pick which of these groups that he wants to belong to?
I think to be successful, just out of reflection of my own travels and everything, is to be a funnel, right? Be the biggest funnel you can and take in as much information as possible, whether it's books, whether it's, video series or podcasts, anything that you can get your hands on where you can gain a piece, even if it's one sentence.
Never stop learning.
Never stop learning, no matter who it's from. You don't necessarily have to have a conviction on one specific group, because everyone has something to offer and teach you. And I thought from an early stance, I was only 2 years in the military, and I knew I only wanted to do my 5 years. But I knew from an early start that I need to prepare and learn for 3 years down the road. And so that's what I did. I was one of the only Marines in the barracks with a bookcase. And I filled that thing. I was using Amazon Prime. I was ordering books every week. Every Saturday, I'd go to the mailbox, I'd pick up my books, and I'd read them at the end of the week. I'd order new ones, and then I'd do the same thing over and over. I think it's just important to be a huge funnel.
Yeah, the thirst for knowledge is a pattern that you'll see across all successful people. And when I say successful, it sometimes has monetary success, but it mostly has to do with character.
Mm-hmm.
That thirst for knowledge, that want to have that knowledge is an incredible thing. Yeah.
I think it's a misconception that the monetary stuff is what is going to lead them to happiness, although it obviously helps. You don't need to make $100 million to be happy.
No, I agree.
And so,
all right, Mike, I'm going to put you on the spot here, buddy. What is it that you are going to do with the rest of your life, or at least the next few years? Now that you're out, you've started this company, you realize that it's hard work, and yet you're still choosing to serve others and give back. So what is it that you're most excited about?
I'm most excited about the opportunity to change a person's life. I know from past experience, when giving somebody that right guidance that they're seeking and being able to make a difference, whether it's in a relationship with their family. I had a friend who was having problems with his parents, just kind of, I think, maybe a wanting for more love and appreciation from his parents. And being able to help a person in that situation and see where they come from and being able to build them up, I think that's what I'm most excited about. It has very little to do with the business, not as much as it does with the individual or the group, whether it's public speaking or vlogging or meeting people, individuals, and being able to help their business prosper. It's, at the end of the day, being able to watch that person develop into a better human being.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, with Patriot List, we're trying to create an environment that allows veterans and military members to connect to one another in a safe and simple way that is not just belonging to some random Facebook group. That this is a community of people that are there to help one another. That they know that this person on the other end of their smartphone has raised their hand and chosen to serve the United States just like they did. And we think that's a special thing. So we're super excited to have you a part of the Patriot List family. We can't say thank you enough for choosing to be here today, and we want to wish you the best of luck because we know you're going to crush it.
Yeah, thank you, Colin. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Check. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Patriot List TV. Stay tuned next time when we bring you another active duty member or veteran that's going to share with you the great things they're doing for our military and veteran community. Go to PatriotList.US or the Apple App Store or the Google App Store and download the Patriot List app for free.